Hey everyone, Meredith here from Tune In with Meredith, soon to be Guiding God's Daughters. Today we are recording the third installment of our interview series surrounding the launch of my book, Letting Go of Your Food and Weight Obsession, a guide for the woman who wants more for her life. The series is called Strategies for Letting Go of the Food and Weight Obsession, and today's topic is why trauma can be the root cause of food and weight issues. My guest is a woman who is one of my favorites. Her name is Marla Godette, and we were friends way before the idea of interviewing for this podcast ever happened. She is passionate about treating mental health, and we met at a church retreat where we just instantly connected. We've shared some similar life struggles and just really encouraged each other on this journey of life. We have gotten to hang out personally for quite a while, but hopefully, we haven't gotten to hang out, but hopefully we will soon. But it's been so nice to catch up before this starts. So let me tell you about her, a little bit more about her amazingness. Okay. Marla received her bachelor's from the University of Michigan.
Go Blue.
Go Blue. And her master's in counseling from Central Michigan University. She is currently pursuing her doctorate degree in global leadership through Indiana Tech. She's an entrepreneur who provides services to individuals, families, and organizations by using her education and skills as professional counselor, certified life purpose coach, certified global diversity leader, public speaker, and business consultant. She's been an adjunct professor, international conference speaker, and presenter, and has become a sought-after keynote speaker. Yes, she has. Marla is known for her coined phrase, know thyself and do no harm. She is passionate about fighting the stigma associated with mental illness. She is also passionate about youth in this area and spends time working with youth worldwide to engage in mental health awareness events and learning opportunities to assist in creating culturally humble trainings that will address mental health while respecting the cultural views of others. I might add the other phrase I associate with Marla, and that is silent no more.
Gotta talk.
Yep. So Marla, here's Marla, everyone. Welcome, Marla.
Hello, thank you.
So the first thing I want to do is, what's your why? Which is why are you so passionate? We'll jump into all the mental health and trauma, but she's so passionate, so I love her. But tell me your why you do this, why you're so passionate.
I do this because I know this is what I'm called to do, Meredith. We have to have purpose, our why, right? And even as a young person, I was the person who always wanted to help people figure it out, help people talk, help people, understand their situation. People always confided in me, but I always wanted to give to people. I wanted them to have something. I wanted people to know that they were worthy and they were worthwhile. And I remember being young in Sunday school on Easter, and I always had really pretty dresses and clothes and stuff. And one of my little friends had a newer dress, but you could tell it was used and it was ripped. And so the next Sunday I was taking my dresses out of my closet. I was going to take them to her. And my mother said, "What are you doing?" And I said, "Oh, I'm going to take Sister Gilliard's daughter these dresses." And she said, "No, that's not what we do. You can take some things, but you can't take all your dresses." And so she was getting things together to, teach me how to, give, but not give everything away. And so just that, knowing that people need, and wanting to help fulfill that, and then understanding later in life that we need care emotionally.
Yes.
We need care emotionally. Yep. And I remember growing up wanting to have care emotionally and not being able to. Like there was a stigma associated with that. You don't talk about stuff. There's nothing wrong with you. You don't need anything. And I remember one day sitting in the middle of my kitchen floor, literally rocking and wanting to die. Not plotting to do it, but definitely wanting to be dead. And that is a time where I should have been able to tell an adult something and get some type of counsel, some type of help. And I would have never been able to do that. And so that's my why.
Yeah. And because you've been there, you understand the emotional neglect, so you want to be there emotionally for other people, and that's what's so
Absolutely. And teach others that it's okay to be not okay
yep.
and how to be there for other people as well.
And I think there's still a stigma with people that, I mean, I always joke, people joke because I'm like, I like to make people feel their emotions. You're gonna cry, just let it go. Like you need to learn how to be okay with feeling your emotions. And I
Yeah.
think there's still a lot of people that are kind of like, gotta stuff it down. Still gotta stuff it down.
Oh, reserved.
Yeah,
Oh,
exactly. Yeah,
no, I'm
yeah,
mad. Yes, I'm happy.
exactly.
No, I'm sad. Yes, whatever it is, I'm that. And I need to be able to express whatever that is.
Being okay, like with anger, and that's what I'm trying to teach Ellie is if she gets angry, I'll be like, I know you're angry. You can be angry. It's fine. Be angry, but we don't hit or we don't. I'm trying to teach her the behaviors, but it's like feel that emotion. If she's bawling, I'm not going to try. Like my mother will say, Ellie, stop crying. I'm like, do not tell her to stop crying. She needs to cry it out till she's done and be done with
Mhm.
it. Like,
Yes, it's okay. Let it go.
yep.
Why does she need to stop? Stop for what?
Hmm.
Because you want her to stop?
Hmm.
Because you can't stand to see her cry?
Yeah.
No.
I think a lot of people are just uncomfortable. People that don't feel their emotions well are uncomfortable with other people that do. You know.
Exactly. Why are you doing that? And then when, things come up where we need to share, one person is unable to share, then we have what? Oh, we have communication issues. We need to get a divorce.
Yep.
What?
Yep. Yep. Yep.
We have communication issues. We just can't talk.
Because that's the fix. Yet no.
No. Everybody work on the communication issues. Where does it start?
But
What's the
also
root of it?
work on them together and work on them your own. You know.
Exactly.
So speaking of kind of the communication stuff, let's talk about Silent No More, which you're also very passionate about. Mental health is, Marla is just fired up about mental health, which is I love it. We're so tied in on that. But so my question I originally had was, why do you think so many people avoid addressing it? But tell me a little bit more about, you know, that silence. You know.
Yes. Well, I started the hashtag silent no more because it's when it comes to mental health, we shh,
Hmm.
don't talk about it. Um, if you say you have bipolar disorder, oh, shh, don't tell anybody that. Why? Well, they're gonna think you're crazy. Well, I'm not crazy. I have a disorder.
Hmm.
But if you tell somebody you have breast cancer, they'll do a GoFundMe and raise $80,000 to pay your medical bill.
So true.
So why can't I tell somebody this? So, maybe they could watch out for me, learn triggers, be invested in my journey, in what it's a disorder. It's no different, right?
Hmm.
But because it's of the mind and because it's mental, we can't visually see it. We
Exactly.
think we don't understand it. Well, we can if we learn about it, if we try. So then it's shh,
Hmm.
you know, or back in, the day when everybody had an uncle in the closet that they kept hidden away and, don't talk about,
Talk about it.
Uncle
Yep.
Sam that's upstairs in the attic rumbling around.
Yeah. Yeah.
Who's up there? Do you hear that noise? No, that's nothing.
Okay.
Price mice. What?
It's
You had a
like,
whole human.
have you seen it? Have you seen Encanto?
Yes. We
Exactly.
don't
We
talk
don't talk
about
about
Bruno.
no, no,
No, no, no. And Bruno's living in the house. Like, I got a whole little fortress back there. Like, what? What are we doing? And
no.
so, or the aunt who had spells. Oh, she just had a spell.
Yeah.
No, she was manic.
Exactly. Exactly.
And so, no, we have to break that silence
Hmm.
in order to start breaking that stigma.
Yes.
you
Yes.
know and
Yes.
so that silent no more comes against that destroy the stigma.
Yes. Yes.
And that's how we get to that point.
And I think some people get afraid because, and I see this with addictions too. Like somebody will say, my dad's an alcoholic or my dad's an addict," and I always say, is he recovering or is he not? Is he active or is he recovering? Is somebody active in their bipolar? Is it untreated, or are they treating it? There is a very big difference between somebody that is treating their mental health and somebody that is not. It just, so people get this idea in their head of, or like, or somebody that tried AA and it never worked. And so, they never got healthy. Well, there's a lot of people that do get healthy, and I think
Exactly.
people stay stuck in it sometimes because they attach it to, well, they're sick and they're never going to change. But you can learn to live with all those things if you're willing to change,
100%. And people have to also be invested in the healing with others.
Yes.
Like, take this journey with me, just like you would if I broke my arm and you have to take me to now rehab, or you have to drive me to this appointment. Like, why wouldn't you drive me to AA though? Yeah. How come you wouldn't drop me off at my NA meeting? So I'm not going down there and wait for you with those people. Who are those people? You mean me?
Yeah. The stigma.
Well, you're different. Yeah. But the people that are in there. Well, it's rehab. So if my arm was broken, though, you would drop me off and wait for me outside if I was getting rehab for my arm. Those people, you don't know those people in there. They're all getting rehab. You don't know who's in there.
Yep.
They could be doctors, lawyers, Indian chiefs. They could be whoever.
They're all,
teachers, students,
CEOs.
CEOs. They could be whomever you can imagine. Homemakers, students, your next door neighbor. Exactly. It doesn't matter. They're getting treatment. They're getting help. They're doing their work. Just like they're rehabbing that shoulder, they're rehabbing their mind, their heart, their soul. So why wouldn't you wait for me? Why wouldn't you jump in and be a part of my healing? If more people, had support in their recovery, in their mental illness or addictive recovery, they would have less relapse.
Agree.
Just like we have support in our physical recovery, we need that same support in our mental health and our emotional recovery, addiction recovery as well.
Agree. Can't do it alone.
No.
It's because I was just talking to the guy that ran my treatment center yesterday. I interviewed him and we were talking about how recovery is such a replacement for, your addiction is isolation, mental illness is isolation, but the opposite of it is socialization and being with other people. And, I was so socially anxious when I was in my sickness, because I couldn't be around people, but when I started to treat my anxiety and I started to stop the addictions, that's when I loved being around people,
Exactly.
But I had to learn that because I was so used to the isolation, you know?
Right, because that's a part of the illness. You were sick. And that's what people don't get, like illness. You're sick. It's an illness.
I know.
Yeah.
So speaking of the isolation, and I read the article you posted. I'm gonna have to post it on my show notes, but the article you posted from Time, I think you might have posted it last year, but the one about is titled "How the Closure of In-School Learning Damaged U.S. Children's Mental Health During the Pandemic." That was the stats on that, and that's what I want to talk about is how much you think the isolation of COVID has impacted children. Everybody really.
It has impacted so many people, but the undeveloped brain of a child.
Okay.
And so we all go through these natural developmental cycles. Well, it was stunted, right? Now what I'm supposed to be socializing and doing these things in school or in social activities, the social emotional learning that I'm getting on the playground or at my play dates or here and there, I'm not doing that. I'm sitting in a room with, adults or watching a video or doing whatever. And some parents tried, they did the best they could, but that developmental stage now is stunted. So we even looked at kids the fighting that started in some of these high schools. They looked at, these are ninth graders. Why are all these ninth graders doing all this fighting? That's like 7th, 8th grade, all, middle school. Yeah, middle school. So, just in an uproar all the time, all the yang, 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 yang. Well, really, they probably are about 7th grade emotionally, because they've been at home. They didn't get to do that socialization and that middle school yin, yin, yin. They're doing it now. They just happen to be in high school.
That is so interesting.
Yeah. So being isolated like that, I still have to develop and grow socially and emotionally, and I have to see all that I need to see, but I'm seeing it in a bigger world now with more people and older people, and the expectation of high school from my teachers and my parents, but they're not realizing that I never got to do that developmental phase of middle school.
Wow. Okay, this is what is even more interesting about that, is because I don't know if you know this, but they say that when somebody gets sober, their maturity level is like
goes back to where they started. Yeah.
And that's what it's making me think of, because that's like when you started your isolation with your addiction. So it's like this, when they started the isolation with COVID, that's when their growth was stunted emotionally. Wow, that is fascinating.
Fascinating. And that's why when we, some sorority sisters and I, we mentored some girls at a local high school.
Good. And
we just in talking to them, and they were mostly 9th and 10th grade, they were a mess. Wow. They're like, what are these kids talking about? What are they were and really kind of silly and catty, and I'm like,
really kind of middle school.
Kind of middle schoolish, they would be walking around the halls all day and kind of wandering around. And these were the young people who were on the verge of being expelled or suspended to homebound and all of that. I'm like, y'all, they haven't been in school. They don't know. They're just figuring it out. Some of them, it was the first time they ever changed classes.
Wow, that makes total sense. Wow. That's crazy.
Even though they're in high school.
Yeah. I mean, high school is already traumatizing, or just, it's such a huge shift. So to add on,
there was no transition from elementary. Oh! Some of them did 6th grade, a little, this much of 7th, and went into COVID.
So 6th grade straight to 9th. That's insane.
Think about it. Yeah. There's no, it's nuts.
Crazy. So that, so that brings me to your big topic. Well, it's always a big topic here, but bullying right now. Ooh, Marla gets pretty fired up about. She's been on the news quite a bit and all over about it. And you can tell the story of the young sweet girl, but is part of this why the bullying, you think, may be happening more, or do you think that, you tell me where you think this is coming
from? It's always been happening.
Okay.
Right.
I was gonna say, when I was a kid, being an obese kid, I was bullied by boys who said, I was fat, and one kid, I was like at a dance, and they made a bet, well, who was gonna get me to dance, and
Oh, wow.
Oh yeah, I have vivid memories of the bullying of my weight when I was little, so I know it's been happening a long time.
That's horrible.
Yeah, and it's minimal,
and it stays with you.
Oh my gosh.
And see what when whoever, well, Meredith, it's a trick of the enemy.
Oh, absolutely.
This is the trick of the enemy that he put in, very subtle and sneaky like he is. And we thought that we were teaching kids to be strong, and as long as no one touches you, it's okay. Sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me. You can't hurt me with your words. Nah, 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 nah.
Wow.
And that's what And how many centuries have people been saying that?
Long time.
I mean,
Wow.
my grandmother said that.
Same.
And so you think about centuries of that being put in. And so now it's dumbing us down to what the Bible says, that the words, the tongue, is the power of life and death. But we just said, words will never hurt me. So it's totally contradictory to the word of God.
Yes.
Look at how it's sneaky.
So sneaky. And what does the Bible say? The word of God is sharper than any two-edged sword.
Two-edged sword.
So he doesn't want you to see that the word is the sword. So he uses the word to say, oh, wow.
It's no big deal. They can say whatever.
Wow.
No. The Bible says you speak life and death. So no, you can't say whatever to me. And so now people hear these words over and over and over and over again, and they grow up with low self-esteem. They grow up being badgered. They grow up having low self-worth, right? Which leads to all types of emotional and mental bondage, spiritual bondage, suicidal ideations. You end up harming or even killing yourself. And so what does the devil say? I didn't do it. They did it to themselves. I didn't do anything.
Oh, he is just so sick.
But you sit in there with those sneaky little words. And so now this bullying, well, they didn't hit you, honey, so don't worry about it. As long as they didn't touch you, it's okay. So parents really think they're doing the right thing. Like, as long as they don't touch you, if they touch you, that's different. Just, you can take those words. No, you can't, because the word of God says those words are.
Yep. And they sit, and like we just said, I remember vividly the things that were said, and like.
But do you remember the last time you got a spanking?
Nope.
I don't remember that. You remember the last time your mom said something mean to you?
Maybe.
Yeah, probably. Probably could think of something.
Yeah.
I did a anti-bullying conversation with a social club, and it's all adults. Some probably 50s, 60s, older. I said, tell me the last mean thing someone said to you. They literally, I said someone. I didn't say it had to be an adult, a child, anything. All of them went straight back to when I was a kid. Someone said blah, 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 blah.
Oh, true. That is so
Someone mean could have said something mean to you 2 days ago at a stoplight, but they went back to that bullying.
Wow.
I said, oh, we all went back to childhood? Okay, well, let's go there. Tell me the last time you got a spanking, or put in a corner, or your toys taken away, or some type of punishment or discipline, or I don't know. But you remember those words. So how dare you tell your child to suck it up?
Exactly.
If somebody got sexually assaulted, would you tell them to suck it up, lay there and take it?
No.
Abuse is abuse. Verbal, physical, emotional, spiritual, financial. Those are all forms of things that can be abused.
You know it. And words, I was just talking to someone the other day about, because some people don't think verbal is, like we're talking about, is actually abuse. And you're like, oh no, you have to retrain your brain. When you have that verbal abuse in your brain, you have to retrain it because you're so used to it.
And let me tell you, that type of abuse becomes chronic retraining. You are always in a lifestyle of retraining. That right there is some therapy that is ongoing, because you could be thinking you are good that was 10 years ago, and somebody say one thing and you go back to, oh my God, did I do that wrong? Oh, did I say the wrong thing? Did I do, let me say, well, maybe I changed this, and where, and you're like, oh my gosh, why am I acting like this? Wait, hold up. You have to get back to your skills, bring yourself together, call your therapist, like, I done had a meltdown.
Yeah. I don't think I reacted like I should.
Right. It happens so easy because it's all still there. Yep. You are retraining your brain constantly with that verbal abuse. Because we've heard so many negative words. It's my husband had looked it up when we did a conversation about the words. It was like 43,000 negative words a child hears by the time they're 3. It was some 43,000. But I think it was by the time they were 3.
Wow, that's more. Like how old Ellie is. That is crazy.
Yeah, more than you hear good. And so imagine that, how we speak just in general conversations. And so you're like, no, that's a lot of retraining. So to be verbally abused, woo!
Yeah, which is also why, like you and I were talking before the show about, why it's so important to do, why we're both so passionate about breaking these generational curses, because we have to break that pattern, because it'll just keep getting passed on, the negativity, like we have to break it. And, I know that, like, as you're talking about this stuff, EMDR, that form of therapy was so incredibly helpful for me, because there were specific things, sentences in my brain that I would repeat and react, and the EMDR helped me so much, and it helped my husband so much on some of his stuff. I mean, he was like, "Oh, this is crap," and he was like, "Okay, wow, that really helped me."
It is fantastic.
It's amazing.
I'm telling you, that is a form of therapy. When you get a really good trained EMDR clinician who can help you get in that safe space in order to work on that level of trauma. Woo, that's a good technique.
It is.
Absolutely.
It is.
So, and that's what we need. We have got to take opportunity to, first of all, say, I need some healing. Right? Well, let's back up. First, I got a sickness. I need some healing. And then find what's going to be the most appropriate and best level of treatment to get started with. So important, because this bullying, if you're talking about kids who, for whatever reason, have been picked on all through school, all through their, some of this has gone on for lifelong. People are telling me that they get picked on their jobs, adult people. Oh yeah, they get ostracized, they get isolated, they don't get invited to the events with other people. The cruel comments. If you don't have the society look in some of these offices, and the way that people treat. Oh yeah.
So it's like the bullies just carry it on into adulthood,
because the bullies are mentally ill.
Yeah. Oh yes, because they're getting that from someone, so they're just passing it right on to you.
Absolutely. And then if the bullies don't get corrected, because where they get that behavior from, and if they're allowed to perpetuate it, then you think they just stop being a bully because they grew up? No, they're a big bully. Those are the ones on your jobs that are, sticking out their foot and moving your trash can and calling you fat and sending you nasty emails and, all types of weird stuff people are doing at 50 years old. It's like, what are you doing?
Well, and also, I don't know why I just thought of this, but also like scapegoating. And like, I've seen that so much, where one person in the family, they're the one that gets it's like they're almost like sequestered off and like bullied in a way, like out of the circle.
Yes, that is bullying. And see, in these schools, we have to recognize that the school is trying to protect the school. The school don't want to be sued.
It's a business. It's protecting its business.
Exactly. And they got a lot of students to look out for. They have a lot of development going on. Students are developing, so they got a lot of issues. They're fighting and they're bickering, and they got social media, which is, just trash for these kids. And you would think they'd use it for studying and homework. No, they're using it to bully.
I was gonna say
cyberbullying, and that's what's making it so bad too, Meredith, and why it's affecting these children's mental health so badly is because say we got picked on at school. You just said you got bullied at school. They called you fat. They did that. Well, you went home. They weren't at your house. Well, now they would be at your house. As soon as you turned your computer on, they'd be there with a big old message. Fat Meredith, as soon as you open your computer, you're like, I can't get away from it. Or they create memes about you. This is Meredith, you all. This is what they're doing to these children. They hack your page and create another page, and they have you doing nasty little sexual things and all this stuff, and they post it on Facebook and Snapchat, and you go to school and people are like, and you don't even know what they're laughing at.
Yep.
And your friends are like, did you see this? Did you? And you're like, no, I don't know. And you're totally humiliated. Like, that's not me. I didn't do that. That's not me. That's a fake page. I don't know. And then this principal says, come to the office, please. Because the whole school's in an uproar because this is going around about you.
And you're the one called to the principal's office.
Yeah, because now they're trying to find out what's going on. And you're like, I didn't do that. Then your parent gets called. Well, some kids made this up about your child and they didn't do it and this and that. But it's cyberbullying and we can't control that.
Right. And they can't get exactly because it's cyber. It's not in the building.
That happened outside of our realm. So the kids never get like, who can protect me?
Well, and
the parents don't know who did.
The parent, but there's no way of like, so they're going to the kid. They can't get to the one that created the meme.
Yeah. So who do you blame for that? So your child's walking around school humiliated. So you can go to the police, to the cyber unit, and file a report, say, hey, somebody did this, and they can look into it and try to figure it out if they can. Then the kids hurry up and take it down and all of that. But the damage is already done to the baby, right? The baby's already, the little child's already upset, already traumatized. Then, okay, that goes away, but now I still got to sit in school with you yahoos all day and listen to you. Yeah.
So it's like you're immersed back into the environment, knowing that someone in that room created that about you. And
it's like sitting next to the rapist.
Because
he couldn't prove that he did it or she did it. And so they just sit there and look at you all day. And then you wonder why we have a child, 12 years old, who mom went to get her for school Monday morning and she was deceased. Because she was tired. Because it happened constantly,
so many times.
constantly. And no one's able to stop it. Yeah. Mental illness caused by bullying. Yeah, she was depressed. Depression is a mental illness.
You know it. Yep.
Yeah.
So then what do you think, so what do you do? How do you address it in an ideal world? Like, what do you teach the kids about mental illness? How do you change it in a real way?
Well, I think with bullying, I'm going to say, I know with bullying is we have to change the narrative.
Okay. Yeah.
We have to know what bullying really is. It's not just kids calling names and, it's, they're just calling names. They're just kids. Or people saying, well, when I was young, I just beat the bully up and the bully went away. That could have been so. I recall things like that. Some of my why, this injustice, this thing I have with Justice Screams, my logo that I had trademarked. I don't like people to be picked on. I don't like it when you pick on someone just because they can't handle it.
Ugh.
Or you mess with marginalized groups, or you don't want to give everybody a fair shot, or I don't like stuff like that.
Them in their what is not, I'm not gonna say weakness, but
in their weakness or their time of need.
Yeah.
Like my friend was suffering with an addiction, and then now that she's down and out, everybody wants to like dog her and, oh, she's just an addict. I'm like, hey, whoa, hold on.
Yeah.
This is an educated, highly intelligent, very well-rounded individual. She's sick right now. You wouldn't do that if she had cancer.
Yep.
And I went off on people, Meredith, like, she's sick. You don't be talking about her. Oh, she's an addict. She's nothing.
I know.
What?
I hate when people
do. Ooh. No, you don't talk about her like that when she's down.
Mm-mm.
That's not right. So it's just like stuff like that. I don't play that. Mm-hmm. And so this bullying, I actually was fighting a bully in school when I was in middle school, because they were picking on a child who had a cognitive impairment. And the poor little girl just like balled up and was just curled up and, oh, stop. And they were just beating on her. I'm like, what are you doing? She can't even fight back, So when people say, I just beat the bully up and they went away. And that used to be, show force, show that you'll stand up and they'll leave you alone. That's not today.
Yeah, no.
People don't do that. Now, if you beat somebody up now, they come back with a gun and shoot you. Mm-hmm. They come back and stab you. They get their gang and they all come and beat you. So you can't just be telling
you can't just do that. Yeah.
Yeah. So no, you got to reframe this whole bullying thing and teach parents what it is. Listen to your children.
Yes.
Well, these kids make up stuff. They lie on the TV. Yeah, they do. Sometimes they do.
Mm-hmm.
Go investigate and find out.
Mm-hmm.
Just don't dismiss them because they're children.
Mm-hmm.
Go find out. Because if they're telling the truth, that means now you have shown them, I believe you. Mm-hmm. And if you're lying, that means I trusted you and now you lied. So now we got to build trust again. So you're teaching lessons either which way.
That's good. So then like the parents, like, so if it's a case of a really bad one, which, it impacts everybody, but does like the parent go to the teacher? Does the parent go to the school board?
Every school is required by the law in the United States to have a bullying policy.
Wow.
Yeah, where you live, go to that school district. Just go Google it, pull up their bullying policy. It's going to be right there in the handbook. Follow it to the T and make sure that school follows it. That's what's going on is schools are saying, oh, we'll handle it. It's just conflict. We'll figure it out. We'll get them together. We'll talk to the parents of the bully and then we'll get it worked out. Scrap all that, Mayor. We got kids out here dying. I got parents inboxing me, hey, my kid's in Epworth, the mental health facility in our area. My kids just attempted suicide. My kid, X all of that. Follow that policy. And you take documentation in writing, emails to people, copy yourself. Hey, I want this followed in writing to the T. Because this is my kid's life. Mm-hmm. I'm not messing around here. Mm-hmm. And if someone's putting their hands on your child, that's assault. I'm going to the police. Because I've seen kids in urban schools sent to detention for less. For less. So if you're going to put your hands on my child, I'm pressing charges. If I got kids locked up for sharing food and silly stuff, I know that you're going to pay. I'm pressing charges if you put your hands on my child. Now that's just it. That's assault. And you're going to pay the price.
So parents have to be bold.
You got to be bold. These are your children.
No.
It's not the schools. Technically, they are to make sure it's a safe environment. But I'm not going to put the protection of my child in the hand of some teacher. They got 40 kids. And if it's a middle school, they got 40 kids alternating 6 or 7 times a day. They got 300 kids to look at. You think they're going to be trying to really come on now. It's my responsibility.
Yes. Yes. You got to stand up for your kid and be the voice for your kid when they come home and share what hurt them. You gotta.
And if they don't share it, if you see their behaviors change, now you start probing. You start asking. If you see they're losing their things, if you're looking for things and I lost it. Oh, I don't know. I can't find it. Someone might be taking it from them. So you got to pay attention to that.
Wow.
Hey, I gave you $2 for your field trip. This says you didn't pay for your field trip. Oh, I lost it. I forgot. I don't know where it is. Oh, okay. Well, you make sure you be responsible, blah, blah, and you end up paying again. And that happens like a few times.
There's a reason. Yeah.
What do you mean? The lunch lady, I got a bill from the lunch school. I send your lunch money every day. They said you're charging your lunch. Why are you charging lunch? Or they're coming home, eating you out of house and home. Did you eat lunch? Yeah, I ate. You sure? You got to pay attention. Oh, they're just growing. No, somebody's taking their lunch money.
Yeah.
It's happening there.
You wish you could just be there all day and look and watch it all. And I know Ellie said to me last week, I don't know, I picked her up and I don't know, even know what she said. She was like, how did she say? She was like, she said, I was sad at school today, or I was mad at my friends today. And I'm like, tell me more about that. And I mean, she didn't, and then she kind of went like this. I don't really want to, and it was like, but that night when I was reading to her, I'm like, so tell me again what happened today. And it sounds like it was a dispute over somebody had a toy and somebody else wanted it, but I had to pay attention to it,
Yeah.
I can't just, if she's telling me she was sad or upset at school, give me more, kid. I need it. I need to know more, because I'm not going to just let that lie, because that could be internalizing in you,
And if it was the one time and we didn't talk about it, what happens the next time? And the next time? And it's so wonderful that she even said anything at 3 years old.
I know.
That she can communicate that well. And that's why I tell people, if you can stay until your kids can communicate, do it. Once you know they can communicate well and they can express emotions or at least know how to verbalize or demonstrate what they feel, then let them go. But yeah, kids need to be able to tell you what's going on.
Yes, they do. And I'm grateful that she does. I hope she keeps doing it.
She will. Meredith is her mother.
But I was also thinking about the bullies and how often are some of the bullies dealing with trauma at home. And that kind of brings me to the point of trauma and the ACEs study. And kind of when we're older, we sometimes don't acknowledge that we've been through trauma, because it's like, oh, everybody's been through that, or mine doesn't matter. But oftentimes I feel like when I hear about kids bullying, I'm like, okay, what's going on at home?
Yeah. Oh, almost every time.
Yeah.
Almost every time. I just had a friend tell me, she said, I asked her how she was doing. I hadn't talked to her. How was her son? She said, oh my gosh, Marla, we've been going through it. It's getting better. He's in therapy. And I said, he's in therapy because he's a little one, And I said, oh, I'm so glad he's getting help early. What, was it bad? And she said, well, yeah, I was having bullying issues. And I said, oh, those bullies, She said, oh no, he was the bully. I said, he was the bully. She said, oh, indeed.
Wow.
He was
being honest about it.
He was the bully, and it was bad. He was tormenting young girls in school. tormenting them because his father told him that girls were trash, because his father has such a hatred of women, and he was internalizing the divorce and the separation and all these things. And so he was acting out on the girls at school, and it was awful. And she said she had even, used physical discipline and taking things away. And we don't do that in verbal conversations, and talking to the father, and on, to the point where she said, enough. You are having a mental health crisis, and you are going to get help.
Good.
That I cannot give. She said, this is trauma. She told all about this is an ACE. This is a childhood experience, adverse childhood experience that you're going through. She broke it down on him. She said, oh yeah. She said, because you will not be the one to cause a child to lose their life. And when she told him that what he was doing could cause someone to die, he was like, what? I'm just whatever. I'm just joking. I'm just playing. No, you're not. And it's coming from a place of hurt, because you're hurt, and hurt people hurt people.
Yep.
And he has not been doing that. He is working out. He enjoys his therapy and just doing things differently, and acknowledging that the person he was role modeling after is hurt. I mean, but you got to get a professional to do that. And a lot of parents don't want to, invest in that. Well, you're going to invest in something. You're going to invest in a casket.
Yep.
You're going to invest in a lawyer. You're going to invest in a bond. You're going to invest in those high-priced phone calls from prison. You're going to invest in something.
Exactly. Because
let's invest ahead of time.
Yeah, because you're looking at it in, they've bullied a few times, first of all, which is not okay, but you're not looking at the long-term consequences of them continuing to act out of that childhood trauma.
Exactly. Like we just talked about earlier, when the bully grows up and he's still a bully at 50 years old, and he's tormenting people on his job or her job. No, this needs to be addressed now, because that childhood trauma is there. And things that happen, this adverse childhood experience, this ACE score, these are things that happen before the age of 18. And they have a direct relationship. They don't cause, it's not a causation, but it's a relationship to things that happen to your health as you're an adult, your mental health and your physical health. And one of the key things to trauma that we recognize in mental health is obesity.
Oh, yeah.
And, when you gave this topic, I'm like, you're right on, mama, right on, because that is something that, when you work with people and they're looking at their weight and they want to lose weight and they want to do that, when people go into bariatrics, they should not be having bariatric surgery without having mental health treatment first.
Thank you.
I was in college and I was working on my master's degree, and one of the most profound professors, impactful, was a woman who worked with a bariatric center, and she provided their therapy.
Oh, good.
And the doctor that she worked with was so professional and so good. He would not allow people to have bariatric surgery if they were not in a healthy mental state.
Oh, that's great.
And she was the one who worked with them, and she had to approve if they could have surgery or not.
That is
and
awesome.
many she did not approve. She would not. She was amazing. She said, there's nothing wrong with you physically.
Yeah, it's all.
You don't need this. You need to address the molestation at 8.
Yep.
You won't address that So if you have this surgery,
Don't do
you're
nothing.
going to make yourself sick because you're still going to continue to eat and you won't follow the rules of the surgery. You're going to kill yourself. She
Exactly.
wouldn't sign off on it. And
Good.
therefore, he wouldn't do it. If you couldn't get past her, you could not get to him. That's a
That
fantastic
is amazing.
surgeon.
That is amazing because I know there's a lot of them because I remember I have investigated some of this and it's like they'll just be like, "Oh, do you ever have any feelings of depression or anxiety?" And it's like, "Okay, you haven't? Oh, okay, we'll just do the surgery." And it's like no. And there's tons of people that end up becoming alcoholic because they can't eat the food, so they turn to the alcohol.
Yep. And you're not supposed to drink but a certain amount of alcohol after having bariatric surgery because it increases, it goes in so fast.
Yeah, because you get
Yeah,
quicker and yeah.
exactly.
Yep.
And so all of that because they wouldn't take care of the mental health piece first. So I have been instructing people for years when you see the weight and all of that, said, what's going on with you? What's your ACE score? What we go through all of that. One ACE score automatically puts you at risk.
Yes.
Once you get up to 4, you're way at risk for all types of health, COPD, obesity, emphysema, a depression, promiscuity, multiple children with different wives, marrying an alcoholic, all of these things are in there. And so it's like, no, you got to address that childhood trauma. It's killing you. Meredith, we have 86 billion neurons in our bodies when we are born on average. They remember everything. Everything. Even when you think you've forgotten here, when your brain says, that bothers me, I don't remember that, push it back because I need you to just be able to function. And you wonder why on April 10th you get all weird and everything and something's going on and you have accidents and you fall down and you can't seem to get it together because your body knows on April 12th is the day your dad died and something happened traumatic, or April 15th is coming and that's the day that you saw your mom get her brain splattered across the room. It knows.
Oh, it knows.
It knows. And for some reason, for those 5 days, you literally ate 5 cakes, 27 donuts, 13 steaks. That it's going to react. And then you say, oh my gosh, I blew my diet again. Then you feel bad. Self-loathing comes in. Well, since I blew it, I might as well forget it. And then you eat obsessively for another 6 months. And then you get out of that depression. And then you go back to therapy. And before you know it, you're back to April 10th again.
Yep.
And wonder why we still weigh 400 pounds.
Yep.
Because we did not address the trauma that we don't quite remember, but our body does.
Yep. Yeah, it's like we have to break that cycle of just, and the thing is, I see it like the cycle of stuffing ourselves with the food or going right to the diet. And it's like, no, the diet is not going to fix the pain you have inside. You've got to stop trying to do the cosmetic changes and let yourself just feel the feelings, because and you got to get help for them. You got to get help to navigate them. And that's why in my book, I talk about getting a food plan, because that helps you get a structure around it so you're not in it. So
there you go.
God can do the work, and he can put the people in your life that need to help you do the work,
Yeah, that's
and
it.
It's like, stop, I'm so grateful that, the Lord put that stuff back in my life right after I had Ellie. And he was like, Meredith, you need to, like, let's get grounded. And it's like, okay, I need to be the best vessel I can be for you. So show me what I need to do. And so many people, I hope my book puts God back in people's lives around weight and food. Because I think a lot of people just think, oh God, help me lose the weight. Oh, just make the weight stop. Oh, why do I struggle? And it's like, no, wrong why. Like, stop.
No, you need to be healed.
Yes.
Totally. healed. And that starts emotionally, mentally, physically, spiritually. It's going to all connect, but you got to get in here. You got to get digging down in here. What do you say, Meredith? Get dirty in it.
Yep. Get to that root. Just dig on in, and you know.
That's it. And like, until you do that, you're going to just be spinning your wheels and going around and around in a cycle. And no, it's all related. That food is so related to that trauma.
It is.
Man.
It is.
And then how we view food in the United States too, you know, it's for everything. It's what we do to celebrate. It's what we do to grieve. It's what we do to, you know, cry. It's what we do for anything. No, stop it.
Yeah, it's like the answer for everything. And it's like I don't want to say permissible, but it's like the kind of permissible addiction that, you know, not everybody has it, but it's like anything can be a reason to escape with food. And it's like, no, you don't need to. You don't need to have food at everything. You can engage with people without having the food there. And
you don't have to have a lot of food.
No.
That's where we screw it up, is not only do we have to have food, we have a lot of it. It's like, why do we have all of this food? And then you end up packing it up and taking it home and trying to give it away. And, you know, hey, y'all, everyone take lunch for tomorrow because we got so much. And then it becomes wasteful. And I can't tell you the food that I take down, you know, to the homeless shelter. And then when COVID came, we couldn't take it. And then it's like, oh my gosh, what are we doing here?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's just wasteful. It's ridiculous. That's this Western world.
Yes, and then think about like the substance of the foods. It's not, you don't always have a veggie tray somewhere, you know.
Yep,
not always
exactly.
Get that there. So we have carbo bomb, you know, and sugar bomb, and you know.
Oh yeah, all the nice carbs that are gonna lift us up and then crash us down. And make us more depressed, and we wonder why we're crying and bawling our eyes out.
I know. It's like this roller coaster, you know, and you wonder why. But if you're not picking that up, or you're not picking up the stuff that throws you, you're not on this roller coaster. You're just going. And when stuff happens in life, it's like, okay, I'm still going.
Woo! It's real. And that's something too, you know, like you're saying, people need to look at with their children, with this eating.
Yes.
You know, what's going on with all of this food? Why are we eating like this all of a sudden? What is this? Now, some of us have trained our children to eat terrible because we eat terrible, or we're so busy, we're always on the go and this and that. But I'm talking about normal, we eat dinners, we cook here and there and that. And then all of a sudden our kids are just eating trash and garbage, and they're hiding food and they're eating. And you see the weight gain and you see that. And you got to pay attention to that, because something may have happened and you don't know. There could have been an ACE, an adverse childhood experience slipped in there that you don't know about, or some bullying or something could be going on, and they're not talking about it. So this is a clinical expression. And I share this with people because it's a good reminder. What does not get spoken out will be acted out.
Yes. Great. That is so good.
So you have to watch the behaviors of people. So when people say things, especially when we talk about suicide, and people say, well, they didn't say anything. I didn't know anything. There were no signs. There were no warnings. They were. You just didn't know the actions or the behaviors, right? So when people like, oh my gosh, this woman, she passed away, she died by suicide, I can't believe it, there were no signs. And I'm like, you just watched that lady gain 50 pounds in 6 months.
Right.
Or you just watched that man lose 50 pounds in 30 days. You just watched, you know, this woman, you know, do whatever, something odd. You watch the behavior change. They maybe didn't say something, but you got to pay attention to that stuff, you know. But in America, like if you lose 50 pounds really fast, oh my God, you look great. You look amazing. Oh, whoa. No, you just did some fat shaming, first of all.
Exactly.
Watch it. That's some implicit bias stuff. Be quiet.
Yeah.
And second of all, that's not normal. Nobody should be losing weight like that. So just cut that. You know, cut that. No. So the behavior is there. So then someone got all snippy with me and like, well, what if they can't talk? You know, everybody doesn't use words. Okay, you're right. They don't. So if they don't write it out, if they don't sign it out, if they don't sing it out, if they don't draw it out, however they don't express what's going on inside, it's going to be acted out. So you're going to see a behavior change. Something's going to be there. If they ain't comb their hair, well, I ain't got none. But if I don't shave my head and my alopecia spots are showing all over the place, you know that's not normal for me.
Yep.
You're going to be like, Marla, why are you walking around with chunks all over your head? What are you doing?
Where are you at? What's going on? Yeah.
What's up? Right? If I don't have on no big earrings and I'm flopping around like, hey, you're going to be like, what's up? Where's she at?
Yep. Seriously, but that's it. It's seeing like, you're not you. What's up? You know?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So you gotta pay attention.
Yeah. I think my parents, if they knew, because they got divorced when I was 8. So if they had known about ACEs, maybe they want, because my dad was automatically like diet, you know, because I turned right to the food. And I remember when I was in treatment, and I remember being on a bus between places, and I called him and I was like, Dad, the diet, he finally got that the diets were never the answer. I mean, he just fell over in apologies like, Mara, I'm so sorry that I kept putting you on diets. And, you know, and it was for a long time. He's like, that wasn't the answer. You needed what you're getting right now. You needed to do the inner healing. You needed to feel the pain of our divorce. And, you know, and I'm so grateful that he figured that out before he died. But it's like, it would be great if parents would see, especially because when you're going through a divorce, you're like, oh, what is it? Kids are resilient.
Kids are resilient. They'll bounce back. They'll be fine.
They'll bounce back. You know?
But why do they have to be? Why? Even if they are, why do we want them to be? They have resiliency in them, and that's great. But why do we want them to use it?
Yeah. Why do we want them to be little adults? Why can't they be children? You know, and I think that's where it is. A lot of times, yes, these things, you know, when you go through something like that, I mean, I know my parents' divorce made me stronger today, but I didn't need, you know, I was traveling from between DC and Philadelphia every other weekend on a train or in a car, and I never had a solid job in high school. I never had friends. And I'm not saying that's like I'm the victim of it, but I'm saying, you know, not having that solid grounding. I mean, I did with my mom, but I wasn't there all the time. So I didn't have the consistency, you know?
Exactly. And consistency is one of the factors that helps to build resiliency.
Yes.
Consistency is a factor that builds resiliency. So that's why they tell you, if you have one consistent person in your life, that one consistent thing can help change a child who's experiencing trauma, can help change their trajectory. So there's a story about children in trauma in school, and especially in low-income school districts or Title I schools, they call them, where they may have more need than others, right? And so some of the teachers can be very still rigid and hard and, you know, not give kids what they need. And they talk about this one teacher who's going on and on about giving kids pencils and, you know, give the kid a pencil. They need a pencil, give them a pencil, you know. And it's like, well, why? And finally a teacher says, well, when do they learn? Why would you just keep giving them a pencil? You know, when do you stop? How often should you give them a pencil? And the director of this program says, every day. If that child needs a pencil every day, you don't know if that's the one thing that they don't have to worry about. If they know that the one thing that I can count on is Miss Meredith is going to have a pencil. And if I lost it, if I dropped it, whatever, I'm going to get a pencil first hour to get me through the day. I don't have to worry about anything else. that kid may graduate high school
So true.
and their whole circumstance could change.
Mm-hmm.
But you're so busy trying to control somebody and teach them a lesson. And that kid may not have water at home.
Exactly.
That kid could not have food. They could be rushing to get to school to eat breakfast for the free program because their mother's strung out somewhere. Their father's trying to work 3 jobs. They got to get 5 kids together. You hear the aces that I'm saying here?
I do.
You hear all these aces I'm saying? And all that, and you're mad because they don't have a pencil? What do you care? Give them the pencil and let them get through the day.
Because you don't know if you're the one solid, consistent thing, the only consistent thing that they're getting all day.
That's it. That's it. And there have been stories of people turning out to be very successful in going back and implementing jobs and careers in neighborhoods, in very polarized neighborhoods, and them saying, I lived here, I come from here, I thought I was going to die. And I had a teacher.
Chills.
That washed my clothes.
You're making me cry.
I was bullied because I smelled so bad because my family didn't have soap and water. And I had a teacher wash my clothes once a week.
Oh, amazing.
And that's how I got through school. And then I went to college. I got a scholarship. I was able to run track. I was able to do this. There's tons of stories like that. One person helped them. So we can't be all judgmental and they need to do this and that. You don't know the trauma that people go through. And then those aces and that score, and now they still even got to fight all of this garbage to build themselves up to even get through the next step, you know? Jeez.
Well, and they're also kind of, you don't know that you're just trying to survive through the aces, you know? So you almost don't know that you're going through it. And it's like, that's why adults that can recognize it and can be having that one person that understands like, okay, this kid's going through stuff. I need to be solid, you know? And that is just huge because these kids, that's why I think you and I are so passionate about mentoring, because you and I, you know, see when there is a kid that, something's going on. I can see the need this kid has. I am just going to be here. The Lord put this kid in my life. And I mean, I'm always amazed, like, okay, you put this kid in my life and I see what you want me to do. So I'm here for it.
That's it. Let's do it. And I'm just going to be here because what makes good mentoring? Relationships. Mentoring programs fail every single day because they don't have relationship.
Because it's the what is it? The curriculum of the mentoring program.
You know, we're gonna do this. Like I told you, we're gonna have this and read off the paper and no, nobody, and kids see through that. Well, Meredith, makes you want to just.
It's seriously, and it's. I think it's part of why, you know, I wrote this book. Why I want to write more books about, you know, the children of divorce and all these different things, because those, as just like hey, I understand what you're going through, because so many of these kids, like, you know, especially kids going through divorce, they feel like they're the only one. And it's like, you're not the only one going through this. Somebody else has gone through this. Somebody else has overcome this. You know, because like, you know, I definitely never thought I would I wasn't sure I'd get married. I definitely wasn't sure I'd have a kid because of all that, you know, and kids get afraid, like, oh my gosh, like, I don't want to do the thing my parents did, or, you know, and I think showing kids, I mean, you know, a lot of it is about your walk, not your talk. And it's about just being there, like walking with that person, you know, and just listening. And because you understand. And you and I have shared some of that stuff because we understand what each other's been through. We've helped each other through things. And,
yes.
and the mentoring is not always like, yeah, I'm passionate about young people, but, you know, mentoring can be a woman that's in her 60s going through something and she can mentor me. And it doesn't look a certain way. It's about that organic connection of having been through something that's similar.
Exactly. and that mentor-mentee relationship of let me demonstrate for you, let me provide you with some skills. Hey, let me just talk you through this where I was and see how maybe some of this can help you.
Yep.
You know, when you've talked to me about things of the church and how things, you know, I've been like, you know, and you're like, well, hold on, think about it this way or look at it this way. And, you know, that makes sense, Meredith, you know, but it's been from your experience, you know, it's like, no, you're probably feeling that because of this. And it peeping me on game too, you know, like, you probably want to look out for that. And I'm like, okay, but I have to listen too. Yeah. The mentee has to be willing to listen. Yep. You know, I have to listen to you and know that, you know, you had that experience. So it's that type of thing with mentoring too. So being open to being teachable.
It's exactly. It's they're going to probably teach you more than you're going to teach them, but you know, and it's like listening, and you know, it's not going to be the exact same experience, you know, but you know, you can share yours when, you know, they're seeking that guidance, and other times it is you just walking, but other times it's this is happening, okay, let me tell you how you can get through it, you know. And it's just, like I said, it's organic, you know. It's not a, like you said, here's my paper, here's how I'm going to mentor you.
Right. And what can I do for you? Because it should be reciprocal. Like we should be, you know, giving of each other, giving and receiving of each other.
Yep.
So sometimes people don't get that, or people, what's their motive? Are you doing it just to get out here and think you're trying to save the world? I'm going to save some little kids. Like these kids don't need you saving them.
You're not saving anybody. There's only one that saves.
Thank you. All right. It's like, give me a break, people.
Ay. Well, the last thing I want to kind of mention is just that, and I think I had a question. You had something about, you had something posted with one of your girlfriends that said, you said, when Christians use their biblical knowledge combined with clinical skills, they become more valuable to the kingdom of God. And I could not agree more.
Yes.
It's what we were talking about before. It's, you know, when you are on fire for the kingdom of God and you're connecting with other people that are in it, the Holy Spirit just flows. So when you're healed, when you've walked through the mental illness, when you've walked through the addictions, when you've walked through things, you got to know God's going to use you. You can't hide your story. You got to let the Lord use you and reach the people that he wants to reach, because it's not about you. It's about him.
It's about him. It's about him. And we got to get out of that. Like, nobody wants to hear that. They don't want to hear about me. No, they don't want to hear about you. They want to hear about the story in you. Exactly. They want to hear about the testimony in you, the message that God put in you. You know, it's never about this fleshly you, you know, it's about what God put in you. And that's what we have to get to with mental illness. When it comes to mental illness, people don't want to even address this in the church. Yeah. And so that came from, I was working with a good friend of mine. She's a pastor in Michiana, and she had her whole leadership people trained in QPR, question, persuade, refer. It is a suicide awareness and prevention modality. Okay, it's like the CPR, but for mental health.
Oh, wow.
And she paid for them to be trained and certified, because she said, no, this church takes in sick people. Mm-hmm. That's why we're here, because we sick. Mm-hmm. And I know what mental illness is. I know we need to have our mental health in check. Mm-hmm. And she deals a lot with grief. Mm-hmm. And so she said, you know, grief will take you down a roller coaster that you might not a rabbit hole you might not come out of. Right. And so we went through that, and she was just like, you know, talking about how it saddens both of us that when churches will say, oh, you know, pray for me that I get healed, but they don't want to say, like, pray if it's, you know, pray about diabetes or pray about whatever, but they don't want to talk about mental illness. They don't want to talk about, you know, bipolar. They don't want to talk about schizophrenia or anything like that. Oh, that's not real. You just don't have faith.
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
I don't have faith because I'm depressed.
yeah, then that makes the person feel like God's further away than they already feel like he is, you know.
Exactly. And they're like, I'm trying to come out of this depression. I'm
I'm
praying
trying to make
so
myself have
hard.
faith. Yeah.
I don't have enough faith. I'm really not saved. I'm really not a Christian. I'm not like, what are you talking about? Because you're depressed? That's not true. Oh my God, read the book of Psalms. That's why David was lamenting because he was so depressed.
Yes.
What? And so, I've just really done a lot of study to learn to line up the scriptures
Oh yeah.
that support, like, we need
Yep.
mental health work, that we can be mentally ill and we get healed, just like we are physically ill and we get healed. Or we could have a chronic mental illness that we deal with all the time, that's just there, and we deal with it, and we're still Christians. We take our medication. I had to tell a pastor, you would never tell me to not take my diabetes, like insulin, because you don't want me to go into a diabetic coma and die. So why would you tell someone to not take their Depakote or their Seroquel or whatever they need for their bipolar disorder? Why would you do that?
Same thing.
That ain't real. That's the devil. God ain't made nobody mentally ill. I'm like, oh.
Oh boy. No, the devil is his favorite neighborhood is the brain. He loves to mess with people's mental health. So
That's where he's got to come, is the mind.
Exactly. And that's what he loves is when people deny it.
Oh, right. I was like, sir, you are going to be sued if someone dies by suicide because they're in a manic episode and they find out that you told them to quit taking their medication. Their family is going to sue you personally, and they're going to sue this church, and you guys are going to be in so much trouble. What are you talking about? I said, you have been clinically warned, and I left.
There you go.
I left.
Yeah.
You better up your insurance game.
Exactly. Because you can deny it all you want, but there still is always, I mean, it is a hospital for sinners, not a place for saints. And, there are people, somebody's coming in with cancer, somebody's coming in with a broken leg, somebody's coming in with old age, there's people coming in with mental health issues.
Yeah.
And you can't pretend. There's people coming in with addictions, and that is its own, there's 100 of them. So
thank you.
And you think that it's not really there. I mean, yes, I believe that the Lord, he heals, but he also restores, and he comes. We can't just be like sitting on the corner, like, I'm waiting for God to show up and fix my mental health just when you come. No, we have to. He walks towards us, we walk towards him. It's like recovery. He is the one that rescued me, but I keep walking. I go to meetings.
You got to do the work.
You got to do the work. And I think people.
You got to do the work.
Yep.
Jeez, oh, Pete, like I said with the physical therapy, you got to do the work.
Yeah, you have. When I had my shoulder relocated, he was like, it's going to be a year. You're going to hate me. I'm like, a year of physical therapy? Are you kidding me? But it was like, okay, God.
I remember that.
Yeah. And it was like, okay. But the Lord taught me so much in that time because he made me be still and trust him, and it's like, you can't just pretend that, okay, I just need it to be fixed. Yeah. The Lord is our healer. He is. That is why we need him. That's why this stuff can't be about before and after pictures. I don't want to see before and after pictures.
No, burn them.
I don't want to see what you look like when you had all your weight and what you look like. No.
Burn them. Because if your brain is fixed, if your soul is still tormented, it does not matter.
Your heart. This is about your heart. In our nation, talking about us bullying, all this stuff. People's hearts. The enemy is at war, and he is attacking people in their hearts.
He is attacking children like left and right.
He does not care the age. He does not care what part of the world you live in. He just doesn't care.
And Ashley Judge. Or not Ashley. Naomi Judd was 76 years old and died by suicide.
Exactly. And did you see Ashley? I finally saw what she said. She just said, and here she is, a week later, and she is on national TV saying, I'm going to say this because there's going to be rumors, but she died by firearm, and I'll leave it at that.
Yep.
And I can't.
They made her the family spokesperson. At first, they just said she died of, she was very sick.
Mm-hmm.
And then they came out and said it was mental illness,
Mm-hmm.
and she took her own life.
Mm-hmm.
And there you go.
Yep.
And the day before getting her ultimate award.
Yep. Yep. And
doesn't matter.
Imagine standing there. How I'm sure it meant a lot, but it probably meant little because of the loss of her mother. It was probably like, okay, I'm here, I'm doing this is great, but I just,
and knowing how her mother died.
And she's the one that found her.
Oh, I didn't know that part.
Yes, said she walked in there and her friends were there to visit, and she walked in and she found her.
Wow.
She is going to have massive trauma work to do, and
oh yeah. But that's not something you forget.
No, and I can't imagine just being in that Hollywood spotlight where people are, and she has to go on television, and how hard is she grieving, and
and now make statements and be an advocate for mental illness and suicide awareness and do all this stuff. And I get it, but I don't want to do that right now.
No.
Right now, I want to be angry because my mother's dead.
Exactly. Grief is, I think I told you I run the grief share group at our church, and grief is ugly. And a lot of people don't want to go and address it. They just want to be like, oh, it was a few years ago and I'm good now. And it's like, no, you're not good. Nope.
No, because you're still stuck in denial. You're still in the first stage if that's where you are. No, it ain't easy. Woo!
Oh,
so suicide has no number, no age, and the numbers are getting younger. Mayor, just let me tell you, 5 years old is being documented. When I was doing research on suicide 15 years ago, 5 years old was one of the youngest numbers, and that was tapering off, and it was kind of going average about 10. And now, since COVID, we're going back down again. And so the numbers are getting younger. And people are like, 5-year-olds aren't killing themselves. Well, yeah, they are. So it's very, very important that we pay attention, listen to the words, watch what these children are putting into their spirits on these tablets and these phones and these kid shows and all this nonsense that they're doing. Stop it. Give them some books and let them go outside and run around. Take them to the farm, something.
Yep. Summer's the time. Get out there in the nice weather and take them outside. And that's what I said to Amy. I was like, why don't you want to go to the zoo or you want to go to the beach today? Let's just go somewhere for an hour and
hey, we got giraffes in South Bend now.
I want her to see the giraffes, so I might go take her over there. But
yeah, I can't wait till they start feeding them. That's what I want to do.
I know.
That's it. Give me that's some mental health treatment for you. Just out in nature and sunshine and feeding some giraffes. Come on.
I know. I agree. So is there anything else you want to let my listeners know about, before we go?
I would encourage all listeners to keep the 1-800-273-TALK number in your phone. Put it in your children's phones.
Say it again.
And people say, I would never put that in my kid's phone. I don't want them calling that number. Yes, you do. Because in the middle of the night, when they don't want to talk to you, they can call somebody. Or if they're at school or, whenever, they could be out with their friends and feel like dirt. Yep. They got these friends and they're acting weird and they don't want to be around them and they're feeling bad. And, you don't know. They may need to give the number to somebody.
They say they might need calling you for someone else.
Exactly. But that 1-800-273-TALK, 8255, they need that number.
Good. That's
it needs to be in every phone. And then you want to put in there hashtag 741-741. That is the number to text.
Oh.
That's the 24/7 text number for the National Suicide Prevention. Lots of people don't want to talk. They don't want to get all choked up and crying and all of that. So They will text 741-741 and someone will respond. They will text back.
Okay.
You know, how can I help you? Are you safe? Are you okay? And then you can start a text conversation.
Oh, that's
even if you don't think you're going to hurt yourself or harm yourself, but you know you're just overwhelmed, text or call anyway, because impulsive decisions happen. Suicide is a permanent decision to a temporary feeling.
Yep.
And so we just want to be mindful that we are created in the image of God. And it is very important that we know that we are not what the image of society says we are.
Amen to that.
I'm so excited for Meredith's book. I cannot wait.
Oh, I'm so grateful that
and I want all your listeners to buy it and also buy one for a friend, because we got to get this word out.
Yes,
we got to get this word out. Meredith, I am so proud of you. I love you so much, my sister. I thank you for being on here and having me to talk about mental health. You know that is my jam.
I don't know anybody better than you to talk about it, because it's real. I'm just so grateful God brought us together. And
absolutely. This has been wonderful. I love it.
I love you, and I'm so glad that you were here. Thank you, everyone, for listening, and I'll see you next week. Happy birthday month.
Yes. Thank you, Sugar Love.
Okay. Love you. Have a good weekend.
Love you.